lick.
The gym.
It's like the old days of Skype.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. The old days of Skype. My God, this was perfect. Right. Okay. So I'm hoping that that's going to work now. Is that working? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. Right. Let's get this started. Right. Okay. For the sake of argument, Capling Drina.
Yes, sir.
Right. Good. Okay. That's it. That's a good start. Right. It would help if one of my pens worked, but that's it.
Oh no.
Again.
Oh no.
This is so annoying.
It is.
Pool, Margaret.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Right. Civita Anne.
Yes, sir.
Oh, hey, I'm liking this. This is turning me on.
Going to his head, isn't it?
This is really turning me on. This is right, Andy.
Yeah, man.
Oh, for God's sake. Howell's Martin. Right, he's got to be aware. Williams Clare. Williams Clare. Oh, is Claire there? Is Claire there?
Yes. She's muted. She's got waving her hands.
Waving.
Good. Samson. Sandra's ill today, is she? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Rogers, David, he's here.
Yeah.
Again.
Not having a good day, is he?
No, not at all.
Must be the deepest, darkest Pembroke.
Yeah. This was never this bad when before Putin went into the Ukraine.
Yeah, I blame him. No, he's muted. You back?
Yeah, I'm back. Oh, I just got to finish the call with Vlad. Vlad, what you need to do, you need to send the Russian Panzer Division straight over the border into Belarus, avoid Poland, because you know what happened to good old Hitler, right? And then what you need to do is go into all the other countries, control the whole of Europe, go to France, right? And you should be okay. Sorry, right, so where are we?
Who knows? You were still doing the register, weren't you?
Yeah, well, we did the register. I think Andy's right. Before Vlad invaded Ukraine, it wasn't like this at all, was it?
No, it's all his fault.
Well, no. Me and Vlad are like this, you know. We're brothers. Right. Okay. Anne, anything you want to tell us today?
No, I don't think so. Only heard about in the news today. There was this sort of like a dinosaur, a wing thing that was found in up north. I can't remember exactly where the hopeless place is, but it was very interesting. It had a huge wingspan, about 2.5 meters. and they
Oh,
found
wow.
and they found its footprints, and they got a rock head, and they compared it with the smaller ones, and it was a really huge thing. But it was found today, I think.
Yeah, I
Somewhere
heard about that
in
one.
Scotland. Somewhere in
Ah.
Scotland.
It wasn't found in Glasgow, would it? Because it would be called the Depressosaurus.
No, I don't think it was in Glasgow. It's on the beach.
All right, Dan. Well, it would be the first thing ever found in Glasgow. Andy, anything you'd like to tell us?
No, it was Skye, found on Skye.
What was it? The Isle of Skye?
Yeah.
The Isle of Skye.
Yeah, it's flying dinosaur. It's the biggest one ever found.
Talking about Skye, right?
Biggest one
Talking
in
about
Britain,
Skye.
they said, didn't they?
No, I think it's of that variety. I think it's the biggest
Yeah.
in the world. It's
And
not-
they said it was
Yeah.
the biggest dinosaur found in Britain, didn't they? As well, I think, as well as because it had relevance to here as well as to the world. I think.
from that period, yeah.
Yeah.
And talking about the Isle of Skye, this is very relevant. The Outlander season 6 is back.
Oh, God.
Because that's relevant because of the Sky Boat song, and there's a link there, right? So I thought I'd put that in there. And also the other link to do with Sky is also the new Elvis Presley film coming out in June.
Wow.
The new Elvis Presley film coming out in June.
You mean this is a one that he made like 40 years ago that they're just
No, there's somebody playing
It's a
Elvis
tribute or something.
somebody's playing out and nobody can play Elvis?
There's a lot of people try though, aren't there? So I suppose.
Yeah, but
had to get
yeah,
it.
there's nobody like Elvis.
Do you know what? Right, the last time I was in a film, which was somebody said, "Oh, you were obviously the ugly woman in drag, weren't you?" Actually, I was the ugly woman in drag, but we don't talk about that. But if they want to get men to pay women, we're bound to be ugly, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? Right. Anyway, right. I think we've found out the reception's okay. Pete, everything. What I did, I turned the iPhone off and put it back on, and it seems to work.
Oh, good.
Right. Pete, anything you want to bore us to death with?
Not really.
Oh, do you see that? Then he just comes straight in with a not really, as if I've upset him.
No.
David, shut up, you.
No.
David, anything you want to tell
No,
us?
thank you.
Oh, that's fair enough. Jessica Fletcher. Jessica Fletcher. Jessica wouldn't even remember Jessica Fletcher, but I do. Jessica
Nothing
Fletcher.
from me, Carl. Thank you.
Are you named after Jessica Fletcher, by the way?
No, my mum didn't want to call me Jessica. She wanted to call me Poppy.
Oh.
Yeah, Murder She Wrote. She was definitely. Do you know what? It really annoyed me, right? Or why is it, right? It was like all these people, like Hercule Poirot, Jessica Fletcher, right, and Miss Marple. They always seem to go to places where there was murders. Do you know?
Well, midsummer, there's nobody left alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing as well is, mind you, I've always lived in a place where there's murders. It's called Barry. Anyway, right. So we've done Anne. We've done every. Who else have we got left? Claire, anything you want to tell us?
No, thank you.
Right. And Pat, do you want to tell us anything about your life?
No, thank you.
Right. Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Right. Let's move on. Look.
Please.
No, Gina.
Please,
Can
can I ask you a
no,
question?
Gina. Okay. Yeah. I did agree that when the Elvis Presley film was coming out, I was going to take you. Okay. It's okay.
Oh, yeah.
I am not going to renege on that. Right. It's fine. Right.
Great stuff. Yeah. No,
What else?
I was watching a program with Tony Robinson. He's doing the history or something or other. And he talked to somebody who appeared to know what he was talking about. And he said that there were no roads in Britain before the Romans came.
Ah, yes.
What do you think?
Oh my God.
There were.
Ridiculous.
There must have been, mustn't there?
Ridiculous.
Oh my God. Oh my. The thing is, right. Do you want me to go off on a tangent, right? And there's two tangents there. There's the first one, right? The first one. This is what's getting lots of people upset, right? People have had to go at me. They said, "Oh, you know, you write books on the Romans. You're saying if it wasn't for the Romans, right, we would be a backwards whatever. And I have never said that, right? And I basically said that most roads that are referred to as Roman in Britain actually followed existing trackways, or the roads that are referred to as Roman are actually existing trackways anyway. So that's the first thing. But you could say that was supposition, but it can't be supposition. But what isn't supposition are those trackways that we will be going in months' time, like the Sweet Track and all the rest of it in Somerset. These tracks that have been there for thousands of years, right? Which is a few thousand years before the Romans. So in other words, whoever was talking out of his Celtic behind.
I think it depends on how you define what a road is, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A metal surface, they definitely probably built the first ones, but the roots were there long before them.
Yeah.
Then again, when you talk about metal surface, does a trackway that's built along a bog with timber that has got gravel spread across it count as a metal surface?
Yeah, I would say it does. Yeah.
Yeah. So in other words, the answer is that they did exist before the Roman era. So
yeah.
Do you know the problem is with lots of archaeologists is that we're not prepared to admit we're wrong. Well, I admit I'm wrong every other week. So which is fine, which is a good thing to do. And to admit you've got things wrong or you've got things incorrect is a good thing, because things in history and archaeology change. Right, okay, that was pretty controversial. Do you want to upset us any more, Dream, by telling you that you're having an affair with another man?
No, you're okay. As long as you take me to Elvis Presley.
Oh,
if you go to Paul's Call in October, there you get all the Elvis tribute acts coming.
Oh,
there's
really?
about 100 or more of them. Then you get your choice.
The problem is, when you go there, right, you're all shook up. And when you find the love of your life, you've got to be love you tender. And the problem is, when you're loving you tender, you get into the problem of JLL's Rock.
Yeah, and then you get returned to sender.
I don't like it when they always dress up in the white jumpsuit. I don't think those were the best days. Yeah. I liked him in the early days when he was mostly in
wise men say,
I liked him during his Heartbreak Hotel days.
Jumping when I can't help falling in love with you.
Close.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Right, we're supposed to be doing Creswell crags today, right?
Yeah.
And we were. I've lost the plot, but don't worry about it. The only reason Pat does these evenings is because she can't believe the amount of stuff that comes out of my mouth.
Neither can we.
Well, can I just make a little bit of comment? If that's the case, right? Why the hell do you do these classes in the first place? But anyway, the one thing we're going to do, Creswell crags, and there it is. And the one thing that, you know, I'm thinking about this because the lecture I've got next week. I wanted to do the other sites on the Gower. Because we did do Paveland and last week, and I just thought, well, would it be too soon? So next week might be a bit of a surprise, because I need to work out how I'm going to do the other caves on the Gower, and there's a book I've got to find. So we'll just see how that goes. So we're not sure what we're doing next week at this minute, because I might change it. So Creswell crags, not Creswell, but Creswell, C-R-E-S, crags. Now, I know we've done this before, but what I wanted to do is to sort of try and explore this in a little bit more detail, to try and look in the ins and outs of what we have at Creswell crags. and just to sort of set it in the context of all the other prehistoric stuff in Britain. So what we can say, and this was a really, John would have really liked this, because we would be talking about his love of Derbyshire. And Pete would always refer to as John as the Derbyshire dope. Anyway, hopefully John's not watching. Anyway, this is basically a landscape of archaeology within a limestone gorge. And what we will do, over the next few months, we'll be looking at other sites, such as the Cheddar Gorge and Kent's Cavern and so on. So this nicely sets the scene. So there's obviously one way in and one way out. And it's an area that is an assortment of cliffs, ravines, little sort of tight little things between the cliffs, and they contain a number of caves that we do know were occupied at least 43,000 years ago, and they were still being occupied at least 10,000 years ago. Some say a lot later than that. And actually, where we're going to go straight away is we're going to look at witches. Nah, we won't look at the witches yet. But there was an article in the newspaper, and witches have really got obviously we start talking about witches and stuff. But one thing when people start talking about the last time the caves were used 10,000 years ago, that's not true, because we do know that the caves were at least being used because there's lots of graffiti in there from loads of different areas, including witch marks, which is something that has been researched by Professor Hutton over very recent years. So not exactly sure we need to do that, but people have been using those caves for over 43,000 years. That's the point. That's the point made. Now, when we think about Creswell Crags, it's a little bit more easier for me to sit with because it's not as it's not controversial like Pavlan Caves, but there's one or two controversial things inside the caves. So we've got one of the oldest pieces of portable art in regards to a bone that's got carvings on it, which has been found in there, and something quite amazing that was discovered not so many years ago, is that we've got some cave art carvings into the rock at Creswell Crags. And when they started finding one, they started finding two, and there's loads of stone cut carvings associated with Creswell Crags, which you can probably talk about. And when I sort of mentioned, we mentioned Scotland earlier on, didn't we? And I just basically thought, well, one of the things is that this is one of the most northerly areas of Europe that has understandable cave systems with in context and researchable archaeology. But that's quite a claim to make, because there is other stuff further north. But this is the most northerly area of Europe that has the most northerly cave art. Now, it's not that impressive cave art. It's sort of gouged cuttings and lines incised into the limestone wall, but nevertheless, it's cave art. And it basically, the cave art associated with Creswell Crags actually occurred by absolute accident. Somebody went in there and they thought, oh, let's start looking up at the ceiling. Guess what they started finding? Cave art on the ceiling. Do you know, we've heard about the elephant in the room. Well, yeah, this is like finding stuff. And there's a big debate about the cave art there, and maybe we could do a little bit more of it today than I thought I was going to do. But what we do find with Creswell Crags is that it's very well researched. Everything's sort of ordered, and it's been done properly. It's got these little names for them: Doghole Cave, Pinhole Cave, the Arch, Robin Hood Cave, that's quite a famous one, Mother Grundy's Parlour, Yew Tree Shelter, Boathouse Cave, Church Hole Cave, and Cave C7, cave C8. No, it hasn't got K9. No, just joking with you. But so we've got a number of caves on this little plan that are available to look at and to research and to sort of get an idea what's going on. And there's a lake in there at this minute, and you can get an idea what's going on there. It's all flooded out in the winter months anyway. But the caves themselves are occupation accumulated sedimentary dominated caves which stretch over thousands and thousands of years. Now, the difference with these caves is that they've been in the main properly researched, unlike the ones on the Gower, which you've got Reverend Buckland and his approach to archaeology, and you've got the other work being done in the 1850s on the Gower and other stuff. It's been all over the place. Well, this stuff here is an area of archaeology that is very much understandable. So let's use some of those words that we've used before. The Pleistocene period. So we've got that late Pleistocene period covered up into 12,000 years ago. That's the geological name for it. No, the archaeological name, the Paleolithic period. So we got up until 12,000 years ago. Got stuff until at least 10,000 years ago. It's interesting, isn't it, that the one thing that maybe we don't talk about enough. It's interesting that people are living within these caves 43,000 years ago, right? And also, it's interesting to say that the majority of the archaeology, not all of it, as I've already said, dates to 10,000 years ago and beyond, right? So we're thinking, well, it's a bit mad that people were living in these caves when it was in a very cold world and a very cold landscape. Not always cold, but relatively cold over that 43,000 years. Up until 10,000 years ago. So, but we must remember microclimates, and we must remember not just microclimates within caves, microclimates within areas and regions. I'll give you an idea of microclimates, 2 microclimates. If you go to a part of mid Wales, they get temperatures which are, because it's north faced in this valley, temperatures are the coldest that you can find anywhere in Britain, right? In a place in mid Wales. You can go to Scotland, but they don't get temperatures as cold as this place in mid Wales, right? And that's much further south, hundreds of miles further south than Scotland. But you can get places in Cornwall that almost feel as if you're in Provence. Isn't that right, Pete? And you can get little microclimates in Cornwall. And you're thinking, well, you know, where you can grow anything from dates to palm trees and so on. And you're thinking, okay, we know Cornwall's a nice place, but it's very much got similar climate to the rest of the Britain, except you get microclimates in Cornwall that are considerably warmer. So why is that? And you're thinking, well, okay, leave that over there. If that's the case, then there may have been microclimates within this bat 43,000 years ago. Now, interestingly enough, we not only find evidence going back 43,000 years ago consistently, but strangely enough, there is evidence of earlier Neanderthal stuff within these cave systems going back 60,000 years ago. So that's rather interesting, don't we think? Now, Creswell Crags has been designated a World Heritage Site, and it's a site of special scientific interest, which is great. So what we've got this gorge, and they do try to minimize access for people wandering around the gorge. I'm still sort of going generally over what we have in front of us. And I'm going to get very excited over a wooden thingamajig in a doodah moment, which was found in 1876. And we'll change the images a little bit, maybe. Let's sort of get into another little bit of an image. Actually, let's look at that a minute. Let's just Look at that. So obviously, to make sure that nobody goes in there to sort of destroy the archaeology, they've got sort of grates and stuff over the entrances into some of these, and obviously you can look at these, obviously because it's all fenced off and stuff. So you are able to actually go around. And being a World Heritage Site, there's a museum on site and all the rest of it. And interesting enough, do you know what? I got to chuck Sandra to the wolves now. And a very, very good friend of Sandra's is a guy by the name of Rogan, who she used to live as a neighbor with in Spain. And he was actually the archaeologist who was involved at this site in 1984 when they were wanting to make it into like a museum and all the rest of it. And Rogan, is it Rogan? Rogan, yeah. And yeah, this was back in 1984. And Sandra will always tell you the story that something to do with the miners' strike and police using the valley to sort of wait and then go off to a local Derbyshire mine, and it got very controversial anyway. But anyway, going back to 1984, this is what we're talking about. And Creswell Crags itself is associated with a local colliery. That's the link with Rogan, yeah. Back in 1984, because you got the miners' strike. This landscape itself is a landscape of all these different crags, and this landscape itself has been discussed throughout Anglo-Saxon history, and the name Creswell Crags more or less evolves back to earlier names dating back to the 800s and the 900s. So that's where it actually comes from. So what I want us to do is I want us to look particularly at the map, and then we're going to mention about this bone that has been found, this quite significant bone, and there's a little story associated with it. So we're going to, don't mind me, we're going to go off on a tangent today. So let's go back to that little map that we've got there. So Mother Grundy's Parlour, we love these names, don't we? Which has produced numerous flint tools and split tools, and was occupied until Mesolithic times. Now, interesting enough, I did say that we've got other evidence, obviously the evidence in the main up till 10,000 years ago, but we've got people still living within Mother Grundy's Parlour and the archaeological evidence, and yes, real flints this time, not the chert that we were referring to as flint in last week's lecturing Girls to Pavlan Cave. Well, I wasn't, the text was. So you've got Mother Grundy, so that's full of flint and sort of bits of bone and all sorts of things. Now, then you've got the famous one, which is there. And it's known as Robin Hood's Cave, and the location of a bone engraved with a horse's head. Now, that is, yeah, there we go, bone engraved with a horse's head, and evidence that its occupants hunted, trapped woolly rhinoceros and Arctic hare in Robin Hood Cave. You never know, Robin Hood may have wandered around here with his sackcloth on and with Maid Marian, job done. And then what we do find, there's lots of other evidence in like these Dog Hole Cave and so on, but at Pinhole Cave there, the location of Pinhole Cave Man, a human figure engraved on bone and discovered in the 1920s, and an ivory pin with etched lines. Now we're going to do that as well. We're going to look at that sort of Pinhole Cave Man, and Church Hole Cave with more than 8, oh god, let me get 80 engravings on its walls, and occupied occupied, some say, at least until the Roman times. When we use the word occupied, is really difficult word to sort of surmise. Andy was talking about roads earlier on. What actually is a road? And maybe I shut Andy down and said, well, they definitely had roads and so on. But to some other archaeologists, a road means something else. Now, Occupation, it's the same in the conversation we had with Andy. Occupation might be, are they just using it to store things? Are they using it to live in? Are they using it for some metallurgical processes, as we see with caves on the Gower? Are they burying people in there as regards to Longhole Cave? Oh, sorry, I've just given it away. Where the Lady of Pavland probably actually came from in the first place. Burials on the Gower. So that was deliberate, by the way. So what I want us to do, I want to look at this ochre horse. Basically, there's a horse's head, right? There's a horse's head which has been found in this one cave. Okay, so we've got in Robin Hood's cave, we've got this bit of bone that has got a carving of a horse's head on it, and that's really interesting. But when we look at the bone, you see other stuff on it, right? So I'm going to probably get my notes up here, and I'm going to get this image on them. We're going to have a good old chaff of the bone, because they found other bones in there. But unfortunately, the problem is lots of this stuff was found in the 1870s, 1876 actually, including hyena and hippopotamus bones, and which is a bit strange, because hyenas would like one condition, hippopotamuses might like another condition. Does that indicate warm conditions or changing climate, which is a bit of a red herring, because we think that most of the time associated with these caves, it would have been rather cold. And the ochre horse was found in 1876. That sort of that bone, yeah, on the 29th of June 1876, at the back of the western chamber in the legendary Robin Hood cave. So that's where we want to go now. And so I'm going to get my notes up here, and we're going to have a little bit of a conflab about the ochre horse. You know, we've got a nice little bit of a blurge on here. So let's have a look at this bone. So the ochre horse, this itself is the oldest piece of bone that has got carvings on it, found in Britain. Now, the ochre horse used to be known as the oldest carved object in Britain. That includes carvings on walls and stuff. This was the thing. And in the ancient Britain books, which we're still desperately trying to get hold of copies for, because I wonder if anyone's wondering why they haven't turned up. You know, it's one of those it's one of those things that we've got to think that it's a very special object, and maybe if it had been found in more recent times, there may have been other bones. The real genuine thing is in the British Museum, but there is a copy at Creswell Crags Museum you can actually see today, and and this is something that is constantly on display. Oh. Who's that?
Pete.
Oh, I think Pete's tired. You know, Pete has an hard life, right? So here we go. This is an interesting one, right? It goes on. Creswell Crags ochre horse rib bone carving, detail of decipherment, right? Now, you know, I said I didn't give a date, but this Upper Paleolithic portable art, does it date from 12,500 years ago, 13,000 years ago? But it was the oldest thing ever that we had known about until recent years. And actually, what somebody has done, they've done this little table, and this is I looked at this and I thought, right, okay, instead of just being an ochre horse, which is there you can see the horse's head, can't you? There's Dobbin. Oh, yeah. So what somebody has done, they basically said that all the things on there, including the horse's head, are to do with star signs and stuff, right? Or, in other words, the night sky, right? And I can't really spend too much time on this, because I just thought, well, you know, is it somebody who's actually, you know, trying to make something of something, and there's all these little dots on it that somebody reckons that they might indicate constellations and so on, which they might be right, okay, but obviously the sky has changed since. So what I want us to do, it would be nice to read my notes here, and then maybe just chew the cud a little bit and then just leave it, and maybe just, so while we'll chew the cud a little bit, we're just thinking if this is a representation of the night sky in the past, and maybe nothing's changed or little has changed, then it's sort of saying, well, you know, if you forget about the star signs and you just think about the constellation stuff, then it sort of makes more sense, rather than thinking about Capricorn and Aquarius and Pisces, right? You just think about the constellations and the solar systems and the stars and so on. So if we go back to that there, and we just do that. Now the discovery, as we know, was made in 1876, in July 1876, and it was actually found by a very eminent researcher known as Professor Sir William Boyd Dawkins. So it wasn't somebody who was like a bit like Reverend Buckland. This is 50 odd years on, so things have changed. Now, the rib bone itself, and that's what it was found under the direction of Dawkins by a chap by the name of Reverend Milo. It almost seems as if people of a religious bent discover these things. Now, this guy, William Dawkins, Boyd Dawkins, described as the head and forequarters of the horse incised on a smooth and rounded fragment of rib. So, okay, right, all right, okay, we got that. So if you want to go with that, the head is saying there, and the forequarters, there you go. You can go follow that line there, and you almost as if you got indications of where the legs would have been. Smoothed and rounded fragment of rib, cut short off at one end and broken at the other. Right. So what have we? Yeah, it's been cut there, right? It's been broken there. Now, does he tell us anything else? On the flat side, the head is represented with the nostrils and mouth and neck carefully drawn. Well, it does look carefully drawn, doesn't it? It does, looks pretty good. I like it. That's a good description. A series of fine oblique lines show that the animal was hog-maned. Now, I don't know what hog-maned is, right? I've no idea what that means.
Like
maybe
a crew cut.
David will know, yeah.
Fair enough, a crew cut. Okay. So, okay. Here we go. A series of fine oblique lines show that the animal was hog-maned. Right, so where are these oblique lines? Is that sort of there at the top?
Right
there?
at the top there, yeah, those
Yeah.
hatching, the diagonal hatching.
Those hatchings, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, they stop at the bend of the back, which is very correctly drawn. So there we go. Okay, I'm struggling a minute. After its discovery and into the 1920s, some suggested that the piece was fraudulent. Oh, that's a bit of an allegation, isn't it? Although accepted now by most as authentic. Oh, please, let's just not go down there. We had enough last week. I'm saying it's authentic, right? I'm not even questioning it. Some still today suggest that the piece is a genuinely Paleolithic work. Oh God, please. I didn't realize this when I missed this when I was reading it. Some say it was actually originally found by Reverend Milo in France, and then fraudulently found at Robin Hood Cave. Oh, you can't make this up, please. Oh no, I didn't. I missed that. I'm sorry. Right, okay. This has gone barking already. I didn't know that. I thought it was always said to be found in the cave. How wrong can I be? And they also say that some of the other evidence, such as the saber-toothed cat tooth found in the cave, and some of the other artifacts may have been brought from France and used to spike the cave to give it some more Paleolithic credence. I don't want to do this week. I really thought this was going to be easy. Right, we're not going to go any more on that. You can work it out yourself. Modern scientific tests do, however, support the local origin of the tooth. Nice, thank you. Which is a similar chemical profile to other local animal remains. Thanks. And differs from French examples like it. We'll go with that one. In the 1920s, three further fragments claimed as showing engraved animals were found, but these are less widely accepted and might be wholly caused by natural means, such as the actions of roots. So in other words, they found other bones with like marks on them, and I can't show you images of that because it's not available. There are no real reasons to doubt that it was originally left in Robin Hood's cave during the Ice Age. All right, we're doing that one. And then after the break, we'll look at the Pinhole Caveman, a human figure engraved on a bone. And that was found in 2003. The first British examples of cave art. Oh, right, start again. Yeah, so that was start again. I've lost my note. I'm still confused with the other bit. So human figure engraved on bone was found in 1920s Pinhole Cave, which we know where that is, near Robin Hood Cave. And then in 2003, the first British examples of cave art were also found at Creswell crags, only to be followed very shortly after with cave art found on the Gower, right, which is much older. Well, when I say much older, by about 1,000 years. Well, there is much older, isn't it? Right. If you've lived 10 years, and 1,000 years is a lot of time. So yeah. So then we found the cave art on the Gower, right? However, this is the oldest cave art until 2003. Very interesting. And when they found one lot of cave art, they found another load, and they found 80 altogether, all sorts of things. So the decorated rib is, the rib itself is believed to be about 12,500, 13,000 years old, or thereabout. And the style of the horse inscription resembles drawings found on sites in France. This is why they're saying that they felt that this may have actually originated in France, right? It's definitely not Przewalski looking. It's slightly different. And so this is, you know, very, very interesting object. Now, what I'm going to do, right? I'm just going to do some of the other. I'm just going to spend a couple of seconds on the other weird stuff, right? And then I'm going to explain what the other stuff might mean, which should be a good way of doing it. So if we think about this bone, and we can see all these little holes on it, right? It's a shame that the original discoverer, Professor William Boyd Dawkins, didn't actually think a little bit more and sort of go into a little bit more detail with the other stuff carved on there. But we do have some stuff. And if you're thinking, if you take away the Pisces and Aquarius stuff, right, and you think, well, other things look like they're carved on it, like that little thing there looks like a fish, right? Well, that's a horse there. And the last time I looked, we don't have a star sign that's got a horse involved with it, do we? So there we go. Not that I'm aware of. Have I got that right? I think I have. And then you might think that all these little dots might actually represent solar systems, right? And you're thinking, well, this is all really interesting stuff, but you probably need to look at this in a little bit more detail. Now, what has been thought of, and I think we're going at this in a lot more detail than I've ever done before. If we, and I'm so pleased that I've managed to get my connection sorted. How this would have been? There's a horse. Then there's something else, right? So it's believed in modern times that if we again look at wouldn't it be better if I can actually find another clearer? I think that's quite a clearer image. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to see if I can find something else. Hang on. Ochre horse. that is quite clear. I'm just trying to think, and maybe I can find something a little bit more clearer for you. I think that's being a bit greedy, isn't it? I'm just going to see now. Oh no, we don't want to go shopping. Right, have we got, okay, of course, no, we don't want that. One a little bit more. They're all the same, aren't they?
Mm.
That's sort of showing it a little bit more pronounced, isn't it? Now, yes, that is showing. Look at that there. Now, if we look now, if we read out this description again, this makes more sense. The head and forequarters. There you go. The horse incised. There it is. You can see them there. And it says about the nostrils, the mouth, and the neck. And then back to what asking David, and then the oblique lines above the top there. I'm so pleased I've done this. The animal was hog maned, so there we go. So basically, am I thinking the hog mane stuff? Is it comes forward? Is that what it means? Am I right there, David?
It's where the mane, you see the mane normally hanging down the neck.
Yeah.
It's actually all that long stuff is cut off, so there's an inch or two just standing straight up.
And I've got this image in my head. I don't know if anyone else has got that image in my head, and it's like it's maintained, isn't it, rather than natural? Am I got that right?
Oh yeah.
Right. Can I ask you a question, David? Can you get that naturally?
No.
Right. Okay.
You might find some species of horse a bit like that.
Donkeys are a bit like that, aren't they? Donkeys are like a crew cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Are they? Okay, good. Well, I'm glad we've got experts here. And that's really good. I appreciate that. And actually, when you look at this, it's almost as if you blink your eyes. It's like a screenshot of, you know, when a horse is coming in just past the line in a race, and you've just got that image. That's what that looks like. And the more and more you look at it, that eye looks really realistic, and the nostril looks really realistic.
Yes.
The more and more look at that. Doesn't that look good?
Yeah.
Yes, I like it. Do you know what, Andy? I don't think we've ever been up this close to it before. This is real. Remember, this is only a rib, so this is like how much we're talking about? 3 times the size now. So this is really, really good. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So yeah, let's. It's a shame to come away from this, because I'm really loving that image. I'm really loving the contrast and the context. But I would say that the next bit we go, right, and the next bit we go, moving away from the star sign type thing and somebody getting really excited, and maybe what we could say is it's been used many times for different things. So the horse, it's saying this is typical. One of the things that we know about prehistoric art is that it's multi-layered, right? So you've seen this in other lectures where you've got one image, and then somebody comes out and puts another image on top, and then they might fill in the little things, and they might put another image on top, and then you've got 10 images over one thing. And this is what we actually see with some of the art that's been found at Creswell Crags in 2003. Not this bone example that was found in 1876. So we've got dating evidence from it, right? So to be honest with you, it's important, and let's forget about it being brought in from France, because you could argue, and actually, guys and girls, you know, archaeologists can be accused of faking Roman archaeology in Britain by bringing archaeology over from the continent, and you start to go down a really weird, toxic misunderstanding of what history and archaeology is about, and you just don't want to go there too many times. You don't want to do the Pavlan cave lecture too many times, and I'll give you those answers. I don't want to do it next week, actually. Anyway, the horse motive was a first to be engraved, so there we go. There it is. Nice, love it, liking it. And then you've got the vertical lines overlaying the body in front of the horse and further over, and the overall effect creates an impression of a palisade. So an impression, all right, or a fence, or even falling spears. Well, they're not doing much of a good job of killing it, are they? If this is the case, we might be seeing a scene in which horses are guided by a wooden structure. Is that a bit too fanciful, or for hunting purposes? Actually, this is the thing. Horses would have been seen as milk and food objects back then, rather than something to be ridden. You don't really see domestication of horses for a couple of thousand more years, actually. So the deeply scored horizontal lines behind and over the horse were drawn last. Right. Obviously in front rather than behind. They appear frenetic and may constitute a form of erasure. Similarly, but more curved lines are also present on the other side of the rib. So what we're talking about is that these lines are might have actually been created afterwards for another purpose. I feel that a lot more is going on, because if you go back to this again, if you go back to that image, right, and you think, right, okay, if you cut the constellation stuff and you can look at it yourself, right, and you start to see, well, what are all these little dots? What do these things mean? And you maybe think, well, this could have been covered up. And why is it called an ochre horse? Simply because ochre, you've got the stain in the bone. The bone looks like it has been stained into those grooves. There's a lot more going on, and we're not going to know the answers. And and there you go. Look at that. It's almost as if you could see its teeth. There. Look at gut. Yeah, I love it. Look, sorry, I'm just going off on one. Yeah, the problem is, because this is the oldest piece of carved stuff that's got any relevance in Britain, we do go overboard, and it's like finding a William Shakespeare play that's one page and it's got like 1,000 words on it. Can you get 1,000 words on one page? Yeah, you can. And then just thinking, oh, well, this is amazing. This is like all there is, and like writing a whole book on it. This is what people do with this, because it's so special, and it's got so much meaning. And yes, so what we're going to do, I wanted to do a little bit more before we had a break. I wanted to discuss the cave art and look at that, and what we will do. I'll probably try and keep it more focused, as we've been doing with this, and look at the cave art stuff and try and get an idea of that. And we've got to look at this little figure, and then that'll probably be enough to keep us going. Pinhole caveman. That's what we're going to do. So if we go to this, those are the witch marks, by the way, if you wanted to see them. Definitely, if Claire ended up in there, she'd be burnt at the stake. And there you go. We've done Robin Hood Cave. We're going to go to Pinhole Cave, and we've got to look at Church Hole Cave and the stuff that's been found in there. So that'll be a nice thing to do. I'm going to put the heating on. And did I tell you that? This? Right. Okay. I was mumbling too much at the beginning because I couldn't get any sense out of anyone. I was trying to say stuff to wind you up. Anyway, on Friday the weather wasn't that bad. It was a very minor storm, and on Sunday the storm hit, and it was really bad. I was looking at roofs, and it was just too scary to move. In fact, I drove all the way to teach a class in Barry on Friday morning because the weather wasn't that bad, and then I went to Lantwick Major to teach another class on Friday evening. But when I got back, then my wind turbine the pole at the wind turbine was on a bent. And the wind turbine just sort of blew off onto the netting, which was above the chickens, which was great. So I spent 4.5 hours today re-erecting the wind turbine, because one thing I've learned about wind turbines is that you don't put them directly to wind. You've got to take them away from wind to restrict the flow of the wind, because you don't get cut-offs with lots of these. So I've got my electricity back, which is great. I've managed to get my electricity back. It's so brilliant. I'm so good. Talking about me being so good, let's just see if anyone's got anything that they would like to say. And other than, I know I'm so amazing. And I know, Margaret, you know, you can call me sir. So Margaret, anything you would like, you know, obviously you don't have to call me sir. What you, Margaret, right, Margaret, anything you'd like to say?
Well, I'm trying to visualize those Paleolithic people wandering around, and I just wonder if this cave art and these etchings and things might have been done by pregnant women.
Oh, who were a bit nuts.
Well, I just think, you know, poor things, in your last month or so, you can barely move because you're so huge. So the people that would have had time to do cave art and things could have been pregnant ladies, because I imagine the others would have been too busy hunting and doing all of that stuff.
It's a bit of a wild one, that, but you know what? Why not? That's all I'm going to say.
Well,
Why
I
not?
was at my most creative, I would say, in the last couple of months of pregnancy. I got quite a lot of artistic stuff done. That was a very creative time for me. So why couldn't it have been for them?
So in other words, when women get pregnant and they get very creative, then it means, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Just a thought.
I don't know. It is just a thought, Lev. We'll leave it there. I don't know what we're talking about anymore. My head's gone. Right, okay. Right. Well done, Margaret. I don't know where I am. My Pat. And Anne comes on. Go on, Anne, talk to us.
I don't think I've got much to say. I think that was quite a, what can you say? Very unusual, really. You know, and we've seen only a few times before have I seen anything done so small, just on bits of bone and things that have been special.
It's not very big at all, exactly. And then after the break, we've got to look at another bone that's got a tiny individual of a male human at the end. And it is clearly a man who has a... Anyway, that's what we'll do after the break. He brandishes something that will shock people.
They don't often do cave drawings of people. They're nearly always of animals, aren't they?
No, this is on a bit of a stone.
Oh, okay.
Do I look quite spooky?
Yes. Slightly more than usual.
Right, okay.
That's worse.
I like that.
That's better.
Okay. Hang on, everyone's got to stop because Drina wants to say something. Go on.
Why do these markings have to mean something?
Do you know what?
Be somebody messing about.
Do you know what, Matt? Do you know what, Drina? Right, you have been with me too long to be you've all been with me too long for Drina not to be the only person to actually say that, right? And this is actually the point. That in a way, that is in a way the point I was trying to make. We get this one piece of bone, right? And then we make it into a Hollywood drama, right? You know, can you remember the lecture that we did on the Battle of Towton? Right, and the Battle of Towton was a battle where tens of thousands of men died in a complete folly. And then somebody turned around and said to me today, they said, but it may not have been as bad as history tells us, right? And back to this, sometimes something like that was bad, right? But it may have not have been as bad, but there's a lot more to make it as bad than it should be, right? The point is, with a tiny bone like this, it's something that that's all we've got. So we've got to make a lot of it. We've got to write a book on it, right? And that's a very good point. It may have just been a bit of a bone that people were mucking around with, and that's the point. The thing is, right? Yesterday I heard on the radio that they're making a broadcast from our planet out into the solar system, right? And it's all children talking about what they want to happen if they ever meet an alien, right? There's all these children's voices, right? So if anyone ever hears this somewhere up in the Andromeda galaxy or Alpha Centauri or whatever, right? They're going to think, oh, there's all these little people there with little voices and they all sound daft and so on. So that obviously represents humanity, right? All these children are doing, they're just coming up with ideas from their head. And that's exactly the point that Drina said. It may not mean anything. And that's a good point. But it means everything because that's all we've got. Thank you for that, Drina.
Okay.
Do you know, Drina, if I'd never met you, right, we wouldn't have anything in our lives. Talking about people in our lives. One thing in our lives, la 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 la. Pat.
I wonder if they had snakes back then.
Hang on a minute. I said Pat, and then you said,
God,
"I wonder if they had snakes."
Sorry.
Right? No. Well, snakes, as you know, all live in Liverpool. Oh no, sorry.
An island.
Be careful.
Sure. Snakes, as you know, are warm-blooded animals, and yeah, they would have existed, but if they did exist at times, then they would have died out quite rapidly.
Because you never see any cave or bone etchings of snakes, and they would be really easy to do, wouldn't they?
Or dogs wandering around behind you, Margaret.
You've done a snake on that bit of bone, I think.
Go on, Pete. Anything you want to say, Pete?
When you looked at those constellations, one of them looked very, very similar to the constellation of Orion, where you had Orion's sword and his belt.
Yeah, what we're going to do, Pete? We're going to go
very similar.
And
It wasn't
one of them
labelled
looked
as
like-
anything like that,
Yeah.
but it just
One of them
looked.
looked like the plough, I thought. But
Oh, there were
most of them
several of
didn't
them.
look like anything. But there were a few that tend to look like some of the constellations.
Yeah.
Go on, Andy, chuck it out. What are we looking at? No, not Andy, Peter. Go on. Where we going?
Well, we're looking at Orion's sword. Are three stars very close together in a straight line. There,
Yeah, those ones.
there with
Yeah.
that zero. See where the
Yeah.
circle is around those three?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That looks very much like Orion's sword.
Why not? Exactly. The thing is, why not? But the other point as well is what I'd like to make is not to diminish anything that we're doing, but actually the theme of what Drina was talking about, right? We may actually have this on the bone, right? But it may be somebody who's just doing it because they want to. It might not mean anything, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
You know, Drina's got a good point. Actually, do you know what we're going to say, Drina? Right, we're going to use everything you said. Right, it's just somebody putting stuff on a bone, right? But it might not mean anything either. They've decided to do it. That's the point. Even if this has got all of this stuff on it, right? It may not have actually meant to mean anything. They just thought, right? Oh, what? A man or a woman, right? They thought, what have we got up in the night sky? Oh yeah, we'll do that there, right? Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, right. And they put the bone down, and it just gets lost under something, and that's it. You know, it's
Or they broke it and chuck it away. Yeah.
Well, exactly. They did, Andy. They did break it. That's the point.
Yeah.
Is it a pig bone, pig rib? You know.
Do you know what we
I'm just trying to think of the size. That's all. It's very small.
Yeah. Hang on then. Hang on.
To do the constellation. I mean, the size it is there. You know, it's probably, like you said, 2 or 3 times larger than life. That means that those constellations are absolutely minute.
Yeah, yes,
Which is
yes,
not
they
out of
are.
the question, of course, but it's less likely.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, it is quite small. I've just gotta get some stuff up on you as well about scale a minute, which I am gonna do for Andy anyway. So right, okay. It's there's nothing in my notes giving me an idea. Oh, right, okay. It's 73 millimeters long, so it's 3 inches long, Andy.
Oh,
It's tiny,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Tiny, yeah.
It's 3.
If you think
Yeah,
of it,
I should.
if that's
should,
3
you know,
inches, then it's like about almost like half an inch wide, isn't it? It's a very small rib, so it's clearly
well,
not
it is a
cow
very
or
small
horse
rib.
or
Yeah,
anything.
I was looking at it more like being a rib of a cattle rib.
Well,
But then when you're saying it's
doubt
only
it's
3
even as
inches
big as
long,
that.
then whoa.
Yeah,
it is quite small.
pig
Yeah.
or sheep maybe. Yeah.
And I'm just trying to get in my notes what it's made of. It's not showing that either. Yeah, the thing is, I always thought it was the bone of a reindeer.
It's a rib bone, isn't
An
it?
elk.
Yeah.
The elk's quite big.
For something so tiny,
it's
they
a
must
rib.
have had a really fine stylus almost
Yeah.
somehow
Yeah.
And damn good eyesight.
to be
Yeah.
able to do it,
Absolutely.
wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I'm very skeptical. I think somebody did it in France a couple of 100 years ago.
Well, it could be right.
Oh, yeah.
But
The,
how would you find something like that?
well,
Uh,
the
I-
isotope tests, I'm guessing, is what they did, was it?
Yeah.
No, they've done that now, but at the back
Yeah.
of a cave, right? It's found at the back of a cave in really poor light conditions even today,
Yeah.
back in 1876. And yeah, it's just saying a fragment of rib bone. It's not actually being catastrophic. It's not telling us exactly. It's not giving us anything, which I'm just trying to desperately get on you. But we do actually have it's 3 inches long, and that's it.
Yeah, well, you can go by the fact that if that's 3 inches long, then it's less than half an inch wide, isn't it? So
Mm.
So it could
Yeah,
be
that's-
something from a deer or
They're
something.
so tiny.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which means that those constellations are absolutely minute.
It keeps saying it's a rib bone, but it doesn't actually tell me of which animal or everything. Which is a bit of a shame there.
Could have been a larger piece of rib bone that they've snapped off after they've done the.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm thinking that the width of it, Margaret, is very narrow.
Yeah.
And cattle bones are about an inch and a half wide.
Are they reasonably brittle, rib bones?
Once they've dried
Oh,
out, yes,
Quite strong.
but they are quite strong. Yeah.
Hmm.
Right, so we've got a problem is what it's made of.
I like a rib of beef.
Yeah.
You like a rib of beef, do you? Right, anyway, right, David, you give us more of your David's really shot this down today, haven't he? He's really skeptical. I think David's influenced by my other lectures. Anyway, David, do you want to say anything else?
Oh, thank you.
Okay, what about you, Jess? Right, apparently Josh said I should be on X Factor. What as?
What's that? Elvis.
Probably Elvis. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I wish I
No,
was
don't set him up again.
Oh,
You
no.
know, and the cotton. Oh, I cotton. Right, okay. Who else now? So we've done everybody. Everyone ask the questions because we'll have a break. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, and apparently somebody watching online said, "Don't forget to wave. I can see a lot of North Gower from my house." And apparently I'm doing a good impression of Elvis Presley. So maybe I should be on X Factor. I can see it. Do you know what? It's really bugging me about this bloody bone now. I want to know what it's made of.
It's odd that they don't mention it, isn't it? Really odd.
Yeah, just rib bone.
On one, it said okra horse rib bone.
It
Yeah,
is.
well, I wondered if it might be horse. Yeah.
Horse rib.
It's
Wow.
a bit narrow for a horse one, though, again.
You would have thought so, yeah.
David will know. He's the horseman.
Well, there's
so-
that many different breeds
Oh,
of horses, different sizes.
True. The design
There's
on
the
that one
horse on it.
is like a kind of a working pony, isn't it? So,
Oh, do you know what? I just prefer looking at pictures of Lloyd George. It's so much easier in life, isn't it? Right, okay. Right, that's your own work for next week. If somebody can work out what is made, yeah, that'll be good. Good. Oh God, right, okay, my head's going. Right, okay. Let's take a break. I want to I just want to scream. Maybe I should. Right, okay, let's take a break. 10 minutes and we'll be back. It's Jessica's fault anyway.
Could be the rib of an old witch.
Yeah, Jessica's an old witch as well.
not that old.
Well, no. Actually, Jessica, right, has got an old aunt, right? And she's from Cardiff. So she's a bit, she's pushing it.
Is that where the true Welsh people live, right down Cardiff way?
In Cardiff. What? Well, no, what, the true Welsh people from Cardiff?
The true Welsh people.
I thought we're all foreigners.
Are they all in the valleys?
Yeah.
No, they're not. The people in the valleys are all sheep.
Miners.
Sheep philanderers.
Miners.
There's nothing. Oh God, right. Okay, right. Let's just break. I need to be. I gotta do. Do you know what? Right. I know what's gonna happen after the break. We gotta do this bloody guy in the cave, right? This pinhole cave man, right? David completely blew it out the water. He's completely smashed the lecture. It's a fake, whatever. So you're not going to be impressed with this next thing either. So anyway, let's do it. Break.
Go home now then.
I think I'm going to go home now, Andy. I'm going to go back. I'm going to shack up with you.
Yeah.
Right, we'll have a break now. 10 minutes. Good.
All right.
Love it.
Later,
bruv.
Well, I guess we were attached to Europe then, so they could have, a French Paleolithic person could have wandered across.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let you talk, Margaret. You could talk the irons off the back horse. Just keep, Margaret, just entertain everybody. By the way, if you put a top hat on, you could go, consider yourself at home. Consider yourself one of the family. I've taken to you so strong. It's clear we're going to get along. If it's a chance to be, we should see some happy days. Empty happy days, white crowds. If it's a chance, we'll meet somebody foot the bill and the drinks around the house. Oi. Consider yourself at home. Consider yourself our mate. Consider yourself one of us.
Goodness, we're getting our money's worth tonight, aren't we?
The
Artful Dodger and Elvis.
Hey, I did want to tell you, right? The class fees are going up to 90 quid next month.
The Artful Elvis. Yeah.
I'm not going to be here next week.
Oh, you bloody cheapskate, you!
I'm flying away. I'm flying over to see my daughter in Mallorca.
Oh, fantastic.
So, yeah, but I've just put my back out.
Oh.
Today.
Oh, is your daughter good looking?
She's beautiful.
Well, that's all right then. I'll have your ticket then.
Yeah, just put my back out yesterday, so I'm being very careful. Yeah, bad timing.
I tell you, me and Trina will go. Have you got a double bed over there?
No, I'm sharing a bunk bed with my granddaughter.
Oh, don't worry, Trina. That'll be enough room for us.
How long are you going for?
Just a week.
A week.
I'm going on Friday and coming back the following Friday.
Right.
But yeah, I just put my back out yesterday, so I'm just being, it's a bit wobbly. It keeps going into spasm when I move. So I'm just being very careful, taking anti-inflammatories, and I've got.
I'll tell you what. Do you want me to give you a black back massage?
I've got my hot water bottle, and I've put some. Philip had given me some tiger balm, which absolutely stinks. So I've got a very hot back. So I'm hoping all of these things will help, and I'll just rest up for the next couple of days. Right, I'm going to try and get to the kettle and put it on and make myself a cup of tea. If I can get out of my chair, that's the
Yes.
thing.
There.
Oh,
We've all been there.
oh, I've done it.
Do you know what? We should rename these bloody classes as something else. Oh, God. Do you know what? This cup of tea, I'm looking forward to it. Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Do you know,
It's a bit foggy outside your window.
What's that?
It looks a bit foggy outside your window.
Does it?
Yeah.
No, it's a blooming thing. It's the blind on the doodad, isn't it?
Oh, right. That'll
Do you
be
know
why
what?
then.
You know, Andy, you're a bit slow sometimes. But Andy, do you like my frogs? You know, they make a noise. Go on, then.
Yes, like them. Very good.
Yeah, and another one.
Oh. I went looking for a bullfrog once. We were at a place where there were all these bullfrogs going, rah, rah, and one of them was going, ooh. We thought, that's got to be massive. It's so deep, its voice. And we looked and looked and looked, and we eventually found it, and it was one of the smallest ones.
Oh, God. Does anyone like this Greek stuff? Halva. There you go.
Oh, yes, I've had that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. This it's halva with cocoa. Hey, I
Where
gotta
did you
tell
get
you
that?
this. I gotta tell you this, right? My mum needs a hip operation, right? And I made a phone call to a certain ex-cabinet minister, and she had an appointment within a week. She's been waiting for 2 years. I said, I want this sorted. He owed me a favour, and she got an appointment she's gonna have it done on the 16th. So if you know somebody and you can make a phone call, it can be done just like that. How bent is this system?
Well, he must have been a Tory, wasn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I thought so.
I had a friend who's definitely not a Tory, and he was coming out the supermarket in Golders Green in North London, and Geoffrey Archer was there canvassing to try and get some votes for the Conservative candidate there, and went to shake his hand, and he said he had like 2 or 3 carrier bags in each hand, and he went to shake his hand, and he just sat there and said to him, "Oh, F off." I thought,
But the thing
star.
Peter is actually a Conservative voter.
I had just finished it. I finished a night shift, and it was about 11 o'clock in the morning. I was in bed. My wife had gone shopping, and there's a knock, knock, knock on the door. So it woke me up, and I thought, he'll go away in a minute. Knock, 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 knock. Oh, he'll come to go away in a minute. Knock, 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 knock. So I looked out the window. Yes, Sir Raymond Garr. He was our Conservative candidate. Just to say a word for the election. So you can imagine I wasn't that polite to him, I'm afraid.
They're always in touch with their constituents, aren't they? Not.
Our MP here at the moment, although we got the largest rise and fall of tide, second largest rise and fall of tide in the world, we should be harnessing the tide for power, and he voted against it.
Oh, good. Yeah.
It's as much use as a chocolate teapot.
Yeah. That's what somebody was saying the other day, that instead of,
my mate Alan Carnes.
instead of working together to save the world, we're squabbling about who does what, where, and when in which country.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with my friend Alan Carnes. Peter?
Well, you remember we were up with you at one of the caves up in North Wales, and there was a sign by the side saying this is protected by the Secretary of State for Wales. So I asked him if he knew about it, and he obviously didn't have a clue.
No.
His responsibility seriously.
You know, we got to take our politics seriously, guys. You know, good old. Do you know good old Pete? Pete's got friends in high places. He has.
Jane Hutt, our local member of the Senate, she used to accost me because I was always accosting her, asking for a roundabout on the end of my road when they entered my road onto a new link road, and several people had died there. I said, we need a bloody roundabout. We need a roundabout. And every time I saw, where's my roundabout? Where's my roundabout? And then they installed traffic lights all around it. She said, never mind your roundabout. I put traffic lights there. What more do you want?
In Hemel
Another
Hempstead,
one. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say in Hemel Hempstead they've got a roundabout they call the Magic Roundabout, and you can go either way you want round it because it's actually a series of about 5 satellite mini roundabouts connected up. And just to make it harder, they put traffic lights and a zebra crossing right when you go onto it. When you're thinking, God, which way do I go? How does this work? And then somebody walks across in front of you. Stupid, really stupid. But it's fun going the wrong way around a roundabout.
Can I just say this, right? You know this new law that I went through one of those little miniature roundabouts the other day, right?
Yeah.
Stupidly, there was a police van behind me and he pulled me over and he just said, don't do it again. Right? I have been going out of my way to go around these things when every single person in front of me just goes through them.
Yeah.
Every single one. Because I'm just thinking, well, why should I bother? But because I don't want to be caught again.
No, it's like this new law that when you come to a junction and there's a pedestrian waiting to cross, you're supposed to give way to them now. Yeah. Well, that causes chaos because they stand there waiting for you to go because they don't want to step out in front of a moving car, obviously. And I'm going, well, I have to wait.
They do.
Yeah. Chaos.
So you dither about and you both go at the same time then, don't you?
Yeah.
The problem, Andy, the problem is the other day, right? I was on that same miniature roundabout, right? There was somebody just standing on the curve. So I just stopped my car with a load of traffic behind me, right? And I waved the guy across and he just nodded his head. And I just thought, well, I'm doing what the law tells me to do. I'm supposed to stop and allow you to cross.
Yeah.
You being the law?
Yeah, well, put it this. No, Pete, I don't obey the law in Barry, but I got to obey it wherever else I am. So I can't be. I'm the one who breaks bloody padlocks off petrol station pumps to get oil.
Carl, it's English law. You don't have to worry about it.
Oh, fair enough. Is it? Hang on a minute. Is this applicable here, Pete?
Don't know.
Well, doubtful, isn't it? Did Mark Drayford tell you?
No, but don't talk about Dripford to me. Do you know Jane Hutt, right? Every time I see her, she always stops me and I have a conversation with her. And I just, does she do that with everyone, Pete?
Well, I don't know. I used to accost her quite regularly and used to come across for various things. As I'm the chair of governors of a big school and things like that, I used to meet her fairly regularly. So yeah, and we, as a governor representative, would have to go and meet all the local councillors and the local members.
Do you still do that, Pete?
The school governor? No, not now. No. I gave that up when I was 70, I think.
Oh, right. I thought you still did it, Pete.
No, not now. No.
Is there a Church of Wales? You know, we have a Church of England.
Yeah.
Anglican
Is there a
Church of Wales.
Church of- Is
Yeah,
there?
Anglican Church of Wales, yeah.
The Anglican Church of Wales. Ah.
Yeah.
And are they linked to schools like the Church of England schools here?
Well, there are,
yeah.
there are church schools, yes.
Yeah.
Right, so let's get back to it. Do you know what I need to do is be fair, is tell you what we're going to be doing next week, because otherwise you're going to be in a hell of a mess, aren't you? So can I ask you, when did Claire leave us? Oh my God, did you notice she left when I called her a witch?
Oh no. You call
right.
all of us witches.
Yeah, well, no, I don't call you, Aunt Margaret, get facts straight. I don't call you a witch. I know you are a witch. There's a difference. Actually, do you know, next week, right, I had either the caves on the Gower, which I want to do a little bit more stuff on, or the prehistory of the islands of the Bristol Channel.
Ooh.
Now, I'll just focus on Steepham just in case there's anything on Flatham that I don't know that Pete knows. Right, so what I want us to do now, I want us to look at Pinhole Cave. Before I lose the plot, right, and before any of you lose the plot. So let's go straight to this. And do you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. Oh right, yeah, sorry. Shut up, Pete. I know. Did Pete? Do you know, the thing is, right, Pete, right? Because I'm not a Celt, right? I definitely don't know what I'm doing.
True.
Thanks, Pete. I really appreciate your support. Oh, did you like my my column this week on the Hayes Mill?
Yes, yeah, I did. Yeah.
Put it this way, I had to be very careful this week, because I was going to mention that I did a video there and I broke in, but I don't think they would have printed it if that was the case. Right, so can I just mention one thing? I'm very aware when we look at Creswell crags about the landscape that is presented at Creswell crags in any illustration. And it has been argued that what you do see at Creswell crags today is going to be probably extraordinarily different than this illustration, because you think about it, well, surely in the past 10,000 years there's been a lot of erosion. In the last 14,000 years, and when this was under ice, there was equally more erosion. So you might be thinking of a much narrower valley, and therefore a lot more of the archaeology taken away, which gives a different perspective on how we see the archaeology, what is presented for us within this landscape. But obviously that would mean as well, if you've got deeper caves that are no longer with us today and all we get is like the entranceway of the back parts of the cave, like again, what we see with the caves today is the back parts, because the front parts have obviously been eroded away over the past 12, 14, 15,000 years. And when you think about it, the temperatures in those caves back then would have been, at the back of the caves would have been about 12.5, 13 degrees C, which would have been probably tolerable for people to have maintained some kind of lifestyle. But obviously, the landscape would have been much more different than these reconstructions that we're seeing today. So what I want us to do, I want us to look at, maybe I wasn't going to get through all this today, and I'm probably very aware of it. So I want us to look at Pinhole Cave. There it is. You enter the valley here. And there's a little lake at the end, and when there's a lot of rain, there's a lot more water in the valley. And let's look at Pinhole Cave, and let's think about what has been found in Pinhole Cave. And the thing that Pinhole Cave is famous for is this bone. And if we get into the bone, you can see a man at the bottom of the bone.
A horse there.
No, it's a man.
No.
It's a man, and this is a woolly rhinoceros rib bone, which is a very different texture of the bone than the bone that we've seen earlier on. Now, this itself dates approximately to 12,000 years ago as well, and this was found in the 1920s. What I want us to do is I want us to look at a more clearer image, and there he is, and he's got a little bit of a member sticking out there as well. Actually, if you look at that, he looks like he's got an extra penis on his leg. But anyway,
looks like he's got trousers on and something in his pocket.
He's got a waistband.
Yeah.
So what's that weird thing on his leg?
It's just pleased to
That's a
see
fish
you.
and a horse.
Did you say
It's a fish.
Shut up!
Please,
Look, just let me talk.
He's got a funny head. He looks like
In
a
fairness,
horse
yeah,
head.
in
Oh,
fairness
for
to Pete,
God's
it is a
sake,
funny
right.
head. Yeah.
More like a
You
horse
guys
than a
just
human.
shut up. Thank you. This
I
is
don't
carved
think
on a
that's
woolly.
a man. That's not a man.
Oh my God! Just look. I don't. You can do it.
We're looking at it the wrong way round. If you turn it round, those are legs.
That's a nice fish there below it.
Yeah.
Look.
The
Just
dorsal fin and everything.
Oh no! Please. Right.
Oh,
Okay.
that's what's there.
No, shut up. It's an engraving of a human figure on a woolly rhinoceros rib bone, dating from approximately 12,000 years ago, found in the 1920s. And it was found in Pinhole Cave, Creswell, Crags, Derbyshire. God, I got that out there. Thank you. The bone itself dates from 12,000 years ago on the 14th of October, 1215. This guy carved it, right? And near one of the broken ends of the bone, which is this, is this human figure. The bone itself is 8.2 inches long. In old language, 21 centimeters long, and the little figure at the bottom is 5 centimeters in height. That's 5 centimeters, and faces to the right. And my notes tell me, actually, I'm slowly agreeing with you on this one, because that does not look like a man. In fact, it looks like there should have been a head on top of there, and his head's fallen off, right?
Yeah.
Unless he's wearing a headdress like of a reindeer headpiece or something, and the bit below it's his face.
A shaman.
I didn't even ask you,
A
Andy.
unicorn.
There is a bit of a rounded thing below it.
You know, I am going to go on X Factor, but at least I don't have people interrupting me all the time. It is clearly a man and has a very large penis.
I can't say it's a man.
Where's his face?
It's a horse.
Where's his head?
Please, look, just shut up.
And it's more like a goat if you look at it carefully.
A unicorn.
You mentioned that goat.
Even than a horse.
Can I ask what type of goat you've been looking at? I got to be honest with you, that does look like an extra penis on the leg.
Yeah, but men don't have them on the leg.
Well, this one does, right? Right. It says it is clear. Right. Let me talk. He's clearly a man, as he has a penis, right? Well, I've not known a woman who's had a penis yet, but I'm sure I'll.
Well, a goat would have one, wouldn't it? Or a horse.
But a female goat will have a penis, will it?
No, but other animals would.
We could go with male, whatever it is. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's do that. Okay. Right. This. I don't know what it's. Oh, right. Here it goes. It says the penis may have been an earlier feature carved on the bone, but has it been enhanced? Have it? I don't know. His thin arm stretches out from his body. That's an arm, right? that there's an arm. Honestly, it's an arm. His head may be wearing a mask.
See, he's below that original thing that looks like a goat is a half-rounded thing, which has got a nose and an eye on it. I think that's his face, and the bit that we see is the head is actually a mask on top.
What?
What's on top?
What you can see there, right? You've got that outline that looks like a goat or a
Yes.
reindeer.
Yeah.
Right? To the bottom right of that is like a semicircle underneath that top bit.
Yeah.
That's the face, the human face, which is why they're saying it's a hat,
All right.
and that would go more
But
with the
it's not
arms.
part of, but it doesn't look like it looks like Anne Boleyn with his head under
Yeah,
his
it's
arm.
not anatomically very accurate, is it? No, like
Oh
having
my
a penis
God.
on his leg.
Right, okay. It goes to say
It was
He has-
dark in there.
he has.
Mind you, I think Margaret was the best, because if you do look at it sideways on,
Oh,
it looks like a goat
well, there's the.
with legs in the normal place.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is. Hang on. Right,
So if you put it
surely
horizontal.
that's got to be a copy on the
Animal.
left, haven't it?
Would assume
that-
so. It's quite different, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, but basically the one on the left sort of gives you an idea of what's going on, and the one on the right. Oh,
It's not a kangaroo, is it?
oh, please stop it. Right, he's got
I like
a
the
crook.
fish.
Oh, shut up! He's got a crook back. I should do on stage with this. He's got a crook back and a long engraved line across his upper body. Yeah, we got it. The surface of the body is scratched all over. On the reverse side of the bone, there are two parallel engraved lines. Oh, happy days. Oh God, please. This is one of only two pieces of upper Paleolithic portable art which shows a figure. The other one is the one at Robin Hood Cave when we got the cave horse. This is similar to other pictures of male humans known from France at this period. So in other words, this is probably from David's cave where they've obviously nicked all his art.
So it's
The lack of
French.
clothes and the cartoon on masked heads are common features which suggest an artistic fashion. Yeah, he must have been on something. Like many human depictions in Paleolithic art, the figure is crudely drawn. Animals are typically better executed, as we've seen with the horse, which has got a better sense of realism. Oh, please help. Anyway, pinhole. This itself, the last word on this is that it was discovered, as we know, in the 1920s, right? Who described the engraving as a masked human figure in the act of dancing a ceremonial dance. The drawing was discovered after a stalagmite film was removed from the bone surface. Therefore, that's why we've got an idea of dates, because it's been there for a bloody long time, and therefore it dates out to 12,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh God, please help me. Right, okay, what we're going to do, we're going to go with some sense, right? The only person who talks sense in these lectures is Drina, right? Drina, what do you think of that?
It's very peculiar. I'm glad I wouldn't meet it on a dark night.
Yeah,
I don't know. It still looks like a horse's head to me.
right, okay, so that there is the horse's head, is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like an
Something.
eyelashes, doesn't it?
Yeah,
A closed eye with eyelashes.
and a unicorn.
Yeah.
A horn.
It
Yeah.
is.
Oh my God, if you squint your eyes a little bit, it just looks you've got a little bit of an eye there.
Yeah,
Mm.
it is. It is. But
Oh, hang on.
that's the hat.
Oh my
Underneath is
God,
the
it looks
face.
like my duck bear.
Yeah.
It looks, if you put a beak on it, right, it looks like a duck. It could be my duck bear.
Yeah.
It's like a duck, a
Why
duck.
not?
It reminds you of those kind of medieval bloody French carvings as well on the churches.
Yeah, it does. Oh, right, don't get Dave involved, Jake, because he'll say. No, but this had a stalagmite formation on it, and therefore the stalagmite had been formed on top of it, so it meant it was of incredible age
Okay.
anyway.
Yeah.
And it was actually found by an archaeologist, a Mr. A.L. Armstrong.
Oh, a relative of mine then.
Was he?
Probably. I'm an Armstrong.
Or right. What we're going to do, we're going to move on to something else now because my head's gone.
There's a rabbit down the bottom there as well.
Oh no, right? No, there isn't. Nowhere.
Oh, I see.
There's
what you
a rabbit,
mean.
look.
Yeah, I see that.
Cheers.
Yeah.
That's a little miniature dog. There.
Yeah, you can see a little outline.
That's a little miniature dog. That's one of Sandra's little miniature dogs. Oh God. Right, okay, we done that one, right? Thank God for that. Right. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do some cave art, right? Look at that. A gateway to hell. Oh, look, we look at these. They're absolutely brilliant. You can see the neck of a slender neck. Oh, look at that there. They reckon this was like the neck of some kind of crane with a big bill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you can see that.
Oh God. Oh, guys, you can see that. Can you? Oh, thank God for that. We're actually making progress. Do you know what? I tell you what, I find you guys really hard work. Flipping heck. It's like trying to talk to a bunch of loons. Right. So now I can't call David a loon because he won't talk to me for a week. Mind you, that's no surprise because I only see you once a week, Dave. Right. So this was the original thing that was found. Right. What they found was these impressions in the cave, right? And right there it is. Right, that there, right? All that there was loads of stuff on it, right? That gave away because that's the first image that was published, right? And then somebody said there's loads of stuff on it, right? So what they did, right? Hang on a minute. They come up with that. That was the first image that they come up with, right? And then they found out that there was loads of animals there, right? So this was the first one. So this itself in April 2003 engravings. Some would follow the contours of the stone, so it'd be in relief. Were found on walls and ceilings of some of the caves. An important find at Creswell crags. At that point, no British art had ever existed in Britain. Right? We know that they're genuine. Right? They haven't been faked, so that's really important. But what there were superimposed lots of other. There were other things like this in the caves that this is actually referred to as witch art, right? Which is completely different from for example what this is, right? Because and the thing is, what we do find is that this was incredibly important because archaeologists had asked for many years, right? For many years, why no cave art had ever been found in Britain, and then suddenly they find 80 images of cave art, some on top of each other, some on the roofs, some on the other sides of the walls. Look at that. And then they looked at this and they thought, oh, right, there's loads of animals facing one way, facing another. There's elk, there's deer, there's horses, there's Creswellski horses, there's this and that. And then they actually started finding birds, right? So this discovery was made by the very eminent Paul Barn. And Paul Barn is the one that if you get a book called Archaeology, which is by Colin Renfrew and Paul Barn, and there was another researcher called Paul Petit, chap by the name of Rimpole. They suddenly found this stuff. They started looking, and that's the point. If you start looking, you find things, and things start to materialize, right? Because they hadn't really looked before, but now they were finding this stuff. So can I just make a comment, right? Andy came in at the beginning and somebody said that they'd been watching a program with Tony Robinson about the Roman road stuff. And somebody said there were no roads in Britain before the Roman roads. And I said, yes, there were. And Andy made that analogy. And I said, if you make that analogy, that still means there's roads, right? The point is if you look hard enough, anything could be a road in Britain. Anything. Do you know what? The land that we've got here, somebody said, oh, there's a road over there. And I just thought, no, it's a little trackway. But then when I've been putting post holes in the ground, we're coming across loads of stone, right? Which is actually where the trackway is. But when I say a trackway, it's only like a meter wide, right? Is that a road or a trackway? What is it? So there's different ways of interpreting things. But overall, they started finding they started finding these stags and all these other animals on the sides of the walls, and then they started noticing on the roof of Church Hole Cave as well, and these turned out to be of international importance. And then when we look at the Gower, this is the problem. This is the problem when I do the Gower. There's just like so much to do, and I've got cave art to do as well, because we found more cave art on the Gower, which turned out to be older than this. So to this day, actually, this art at Creswell Crags is much further north than the Gower, so it is the most northerly of cave art in Britain. That's the point. And the subjects represent animals including bisons and several and elks and stags of all sorts of kinds, and several different bird species. And the engravers seem to have made use of natural and even cave surfaces for these carvings, and that's very important that you feel the contours of the cave, and you feel where that should be going and that should be going, the legs should be going, and you just follow it. So this is what I mean. That this is, and then basically at certain times of the day, as the sun shines and gets to the depths of the caves, then you could probably then these features that are natural in the rock illuminate to be features of animals. And this is what they're saying. It's illuminated by the art. But the thing is, if it's on some of the art is on the roofs of the caves, how does that work with light? That's something else as well. So what we do know is a microscopic layers of calcium carbonate overlay the stone. So calcium carbonate sort of dribbles down the stone over a long period of time. We're talking about thousands of periods of time. And each of that creates a patina. So say, for example, somebody's etched into the stone, very deep into the stone, and they've left that there, right? And then over time, a calcium carbonate layer forms. And then later on, somebody else carves something else, sort of crosses whatever's been formed before, and then a calcium carbonate layer falls over that. But within the incisions on the stone from the earlier carvings, more flowstone develops over it, and then basically over time these layers get thicker and thicker. And when we're talking about thicker and thicker, we're not even talking about a millimeter, we're talking about a minutiae of a millimeter. But these layers can be dated by tracing the levels of uranium in them. And obviously over time, uranium depletes. So you get less and less uranium in something the older it is. So if you see flowstone today, which is forming with traces of uranium in it, it's got a lot of uranium in it. If it's older, then it's got less uranium. This is how you date it. It's just simple as that. It's a bit like the potassium argon dating method that we said, that when the potassium is actually in the stone, it starts to alter into argon, and therefore the older it is, the basic, there's no potassium in it. And it's the same with flowstone levels. There's less and less uranium traceable in it. So this is trapped on the surfaces of the rock. So this provides an age of the underlying engraving. The scientists and archaeologists conclude it is most likely that some of the earliest cavings, some of the earliest carvings in a cave date back even later than the stuff on the Gower, as far back as 15,000 years ago. And actually, interesting enough, this is really on the northern side. I think this is right, is it? I think so. Oh yeah, no, it is right. On the northern side, it's in Derbyshire. On the south side, it's Nottinghamshire. This is actually found in Nottinghamshire, not Derbyshire, on Church Hole Cave. But it's only meters away from the two sides, so don't worry about where we're looking at. So if some of the earlier stuff in Churchill Cave dates back to 15,000 years ago, it's 500 years older than stuff on the Gower, because the stuff in the Gower Cave, Cathall Cave on the Gower, dates back to 15,505 years ago. And some numpty that's talking to you now got a grid placed onto those the caves at Cathall Cave and the Gower to stop anyone going in there. So when I organised a visit down there, I hadn't realised that when we went to see them, there was a grate over the cave, and everyone looked over me and said, "What absolute idiot got a grate over these caves that we can't actually go in them?" And I said, "Actually, it was me." Did make me very popular that day. Not all of the but it protected it anyway. So not all of the figures identified as prehistoric art are in fact human made. It's likely as well that some images might be formed because of erosion and might look like you've got, for example, a horse's mane and so on. So some of the images might look like they are formed by human inference, but others might actually be modern or are actually natural. So so what we've got there is that the Paleolithic rock art on the walls and the ceilings of the caves date directly to, as we know, between 13 and 15,000 years ago. Creswell Crags itself is incredibly valuable in regards to the portable art and the other archaeological evidence that we actually find there. And it's a very, very important archaeological resource since at least 1986. So what I want us to do is have a little look at some other bits and pieces, and then we'll call it a day. So, oh yeah, we've missed that bird, haven't we? Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to that bird. There we go. I want to look at that. Right, we're going to look at that. You can see that head there is absolutely brilliant. That's not that's clearly been carved. So I'm going to I got to get more information on this one a minute. I wasn't going to do this one in detail, but it's a wonderful image. Carving of bird. Go on, Andy. As I'm just getting
thing about those birds is those birds are only around when it's warm. We don't have storks. Well, they're just starting to come back into the southeast now as it gets warmer.
You are very, very right, and that's the point that we made before.
It'll be an extinct species.
Yeah.
Yeah, but basically somebody said, basically I can remember reading the article. This has been described as the this photograph shows a carving of a type of bird called an ibis, which should be very commonly in ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
And this was one of this. I think this may have been. It's difficult to say, but I think this may have been one of the later ones that was found. Because we
don't have those in Europe now at all.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
I think when we looked at this last time, I think there was a little bit of a conversation over somebody being in Europe and seeing a bird like this.
We have the egrets and the giant egrets, which are very similar to that. But we only have little. Well, we have little ones here now, and they've moved up because of the warmer weather.
Do you know what? I've got another image on my computer in front of me, and if I can just be given a moment, I typed in bird carving, bird carving. Creswell, and there is actually I've got a better one in front of me than the one I'm actually showing. I just wondered if I could get it up.
Not an egret.
No.
I've just had a look. They've got a very straight bill. That's got a bill that's like a flamingo. I'm not saying it is a flamingo, but it's got the curve in it where they put their beak down and shuffle it along the bottom to get the food out. Yeah, at the bottom of the pond. I don't know what that is.
Bottom of a pond. Yeah, basically what it's showing in front of me is that if you see the neck as it comes down, and they're just behind the neck, there's the body of the bird, and it basically shown on my illustration in front of me that you've got a full body,
right? Okay.
Now this is what we were talking. Was that what we're talking about with an eaglet? So we describing with a long neck, or?
Yeah, they've all got long necks, but the egret has got a very straight bill, not a curve.
Ah, right. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, it looks like an ibis.
Yeah,
an ibis.
Oh yeah. You said ibis, didn't you? Not an egret. It was me that said that.
Yeah.
Ibis bird. Yeah, the one I've got in front of me on the other computer is absolutely. Hang on a minute. If I
the ibis has a slightly curved bill. Yeah. But not pronounced as that. But yeah, it could be an ibis. Yeah.
There is a lot of stuff on here, and I just I tell you what, right? What I'm going to do, I'm going to swap my I'm going to get this up, the image that you can see in front on my computer screen. I'm just going to see if I can just get this off. Stop that, and okay. Like, can everybody see that on there?
I can see David.
Not now.
Can you see that?
No.
Not now. No.
No, you can't see it. Right. Okay. Hang on a minute.
Yeah, it's just not sharing. We've got you, but no shared picture. Now
Right.
live.
Actually, do you know what? With having an iPhone, I can take a photograph of it, and I can get on my photograph images then.
Ooh, technology. Ooh.
Right. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get onto my doodah, and there it is, and I'm going to share this now. Oh, we couldn't do this on Skype, Andy.
No.
Can you remember when we first did this on Skype? There was just no technology on it at all, and I just talked.
Well, I think Skype's moved on a bit now.
I haven't used Skype in ages. Can you see that there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks very much like a shag.
What?
A shag. Blackbird. The blackbird. A shag.
What about a curlew?
Yeah,
Not big enough.
I've been thinking about a curlew myself.
Yeah, they have a much longer beak than that and thinner one. But
Curlew will have a much slimmer beak
the ibis
and wouldn't be as big.
The ibis has the same shaped body as that.
Yeah,
It's got
but
the
we're
long neck and then
still
the big fat
talking of
body.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do you know what we should?
There's a shag.
You know what we should do, right? Is I'm not going to type.
It looks like a curlew to me.
I'm not going to type in the word shag, right? Because I'm not going to go to the right place, right? We're going to type in curlew and what we've got, an ibis, right?
Ibis, I go for an ibis. Yeah.
So it's right. So if we go type it there, an ibis,
yeah,
an ibis bird, and we know what we were just looking at. It's not going to be difficult. Actually, it does look like an ibis. I can see that now.
Yeah, yeah. If you look at some of the other, there's a red, a scarlet one. It's much plumper as well. But
so I'm going to type in the word shag. Right, it's not.
Oh no, don't go there.
Yeah, it's a bird.
Yeah.
It's a black
No,
bird.
It's got a straight beak though. You see, straight beak.
Yeah.
Oh God,
got a Mohican.
I'm so pleased. So the what we've got, it looks more like an ibis. Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Right, that was really close then. But I've got a pawn blocker on this phone, so that's good. We did.
You have to do curly for.
Yeah, we go. Well, no. Gina's going to be right. That's the problem. We don't want to prove Gina right.
It's got a very, very long beak.
No, sorry, Gina, you're right for one.
We're still talking a long time ago, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know there was a program about the curlew? It was like a film and it just said, once there were many, then there were some, then there were two, and then there will be one, and soon there will be none. And it was talking about the extinction of a certain type of curlew. So right, anyway, so God, I've even thrown myself now, right? So what I'm gonna type in now, right? I've actually thrown myself. What I'd like to do now, we've more or less come where I want to be. Creswell Crags update. I just want to see if we can go
That's your curlew.
What, Pete?
That's your curlew.
You've got one here.
I got 2 years.
Yeah, your curlew's head's the wrong way around.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah, but I wasn't looking. I was looking at my book.
See, it's got a great long bill though on it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go with an ibis.
I think it's an ibis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is much more tropical.
Well, the ibis had a longer neck, didn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I tell you what. Right. I tell you what we're going to do. This will complete it today, right? We're going to do the witch marks just for anyway, there we go. We've done that one there. We've done these reconstructions that I'm not happy with, right? We've done this man from Pinhole Cave with the big extra leg.
The horse, yeah.
Yeah. And we've done Vladimir Putin invading. Yeah. So these are all the witch marks, right? So Claire will probably come back on a broomstick. Oh, I'm terrible. All right. Hundreds of. Can I just make a comment, right? How is it they've just found these now? Hundreds of protective marks, also known as witch marks, have been discovered at Creswell Crags. This is like 2019. Limestone gorge on the Nottingham Derbyshire border with history dating back 60,000 years. These marks have been discovered, scribed into walls and ceilings of the cave over dark holes and dark crevices. Now the thing is, it's saying, right, this is another huge find for the world-renowned award-winning heritage site. How the hell can you miss them? And it's a significant, how? Do you know what I mean? These are so obvious.
Yeah.
The chance of discovering was made by two keen-eyed enthusiasts, Haley Clark and Edward Waters, as they were wandering down into the cave. Right, yeah, probably doing something else. And they were actually on a cave tour, right? After they noticed the rare protection marks scribed, how can they be going on a guided tour of the cave and find these things? Do you know what I mean?
Witches.
Yeah, witches. Have you noticed Jessica seems to have disappeared? Has she been burned?
She's just sent
Just
a
put a
message.
note on.
He just did a chat, yeah.
Yeah, these
Why?
witches.
Why are there so many? Wouldn't one do?
What one witch? I'm surrounded by them. These
No, the
Manic-
marks. Why are there
manic
so many
witches.
marks?
Well, that would, I'd say there's so many there, it would be confusing. Any meaning would be confusing, wouldn't
What
it?
do they mean? What
Yeah.
can anybody
They're
decide? for them?
protection.
Well-
They're supposed to give protection, those marks.
Yeah.
Claire-
Is that what
It
it
could have
is?
been done sort of after each ritual, so added on throughout time, possibly. Maybe be a short period of time. But I was thinking they should be called sigils rather than witch marks. Because it's something done to put a ritual or spell into practice, to manifest it. So that's why I was thinking maybe it was a meet-up place, a sacred place, and they would sort of leave a mark each time they done a ritual, possibly.
Are these medieval then?
Yeah, well, probably late. But the thing is, right, it's saying, right, that these were found by two people wandering as part of a cave tour, right? And apparently they looked up and said, what's that up there? And the guy guiding them had never seen them before. They said, after 17 years at Creswell Crags, it makes me wonder what else has, but they're just too obvious. It's like an elephant in a room that is just like there. And you know what I mean? This remarkable place continues to give up its secrets. These marks have these, yeah.
Well, if they were not illuminated, you wouldn't see them, would you? If they're
Oh, right, hang on a minute. Listen to this. It says, listen to this, right? It says, these marks had been noticed before, but they'd been dismissed as graffiti.
Yeah.
Well, they're graffiti anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, by the way, there's stuff up there. We'll just ignore it. Ritualistic protection marks are most commonly found in historic churches and houses near the entrance points, particularly doorways, windows, and fireplace, to protect the individuals from evil marks, evil spirits. I'm going to use them in my archaeology classes now to protect myself against you guys. It was thought that the largest apparently the largest quantity of witch marks were in a cave in Somerset, where there's 57 of them. There's loads here. I cannot emphasize how important this corpus of apotropia, which graffiti marks, I think off the top of my head, it is the largest number of examples found anywhere, and in any context in Britain. The number and variety of which marks is unbelievable. It says that among the most commonly found are the double VV engravings, not to do with Volkswagen, which are believed to make reference to the Virgin of Virgins, Mary. Others are believed to be devices for capturing or trapping evil, and these include diagonal lines, boxes, and mazes. The marks appear to have been added to over time and may indicate a need to strengthen a protection in response to a period of unexpected sickness, death, or poor crops, or more people voting Conservative. The caves were excavated by archaeologists during the 1800s and in the process widened. This may account for why some surfaces features there are no marks. So in other words, what? Oh my God! So in other words, as they're exploring the cave, right, they're removing all the stuff on the side of the caves to go deeper into the caves. In that case, destroying any art. Oh my God, this is great. So in other words, to get access into the cave, right, for people to go in there, including the archaeologists, they would destroy everything on the sides of the caves, and this was going on in the 1800s. So therefore, there may have been much more in there. Ronald Hutton, professor, he says, this discovery is significant because it looks like the largest assemblage of protective marks ever found in British caves and possibly anywhere in Britain. This is a subtly and large new area of research for historians and archaeologists, and so adds appreciatively to the importance of the crags as a world resource. This is hugely important and exciting finding, one of the main current growth areas of knowledge about the past. Creswell Crags has already amazingly the revelations in regards to Paleolithic designs. Now it does so again with a fresh one of medieval and early modern ritual protection marks on a huge scale, making a very important contribution at a stroke to one of the most significant current areas of new scholarly research. And I'm so amazing in presenting this on television. So in other words, what they're saying is that these are massively important. And what I can only say personally, is that there's so much more probably still to be found there. And it goes on to say this is the chief executive of Historic England. Creswell Crags is already of international importance. To find this huge number of protected marks is a new layer of discovery. Even 200 years ago, the English countryside was a very different place. Death and disease and prostitution were everywhere. Companions and evil forces could readily be imagined in the dark. We can only speculate on what it was the people of Creswell feared might emerge from the underworld into these caves. And one last point, and this is where we'll finish today. The director of Creswell Crags says about all the discoveries that we've seen today, and that's only a tiny bit that we've seen today, we're all still coming to terms with the importance of this find. It's strange to imagine that 11,000 years after our Ice Age ancestors made their art on our walls, the fear of the unknown may have prompted superstitious locals to return to the rock and make their mark. on that note, we're going to call it a day, and see if there's any questions. And we did have 5 people watching on YouTube, and I've all gone. So so basically, a reminder on the ochre horse there, and there were some good comments on that. There's our beautiful witch marks, and yeah, we've looked at a bit of that. So in other words, what we've got is that we've got on the one side we've got Derbyshire in the north, and we've got in the south we've got Nottinghamshire. So it's a cave within 2 landscapes. And that said, we've got a wonderful bird that we've done today as well, and the other cave art. And there is the caves. You can go and see them today. And if we just look there, and that's as you look down on it, with a little sort of lake ahead of that. And yes, lot thinner in the past, lots of changes over the time, and that's what we'll call it a day. So let's see why I've been researching about the Vietnam War today. I have no idea, but anyway, you know, one interesting fact is that at one point South Korea had more troops fighting in the Vietnam War than American servicemen. I thought I'd check that on there. Anyway, Adrina, your wonderful glasses makes me imagine what you'd be like with green glasses. Right, okay. Oh yeah, there's the comments online are like still here, Carl, and thank you, sir. That's a certain guy from the Gower. There's a couple of people watching from the Gower, actually. Oh, a couple more people come on. And what's it say in the chat box? It says, Josh said you should be on X Factor, Carl. Well, we already know that. They should be called sigils, not witch marks, used to manifest something, to put a ritual spell into practice. The thing is, right, the one problem is with all of this, right, is that when they say witch marks, I think the point is that Jessica's making, were they put in there by witches, or were they put in there to protect against witches? I believe both.
Well, they're generally found in old beams on doorways in the old Tudor buildings.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. I
Yeah.
went to a church. I went to a church in Suffolk way, right, and on the church door there was all these marks that would ward off witches.
Yeah, it's to keep them away.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Haven't you got one on the inside of your door, not on the
Yeah,
outside?
I have actually. Yeah. I remember seeing a program about Creswell crags and these carvings, and I did think, crikey, they're so difficult to see what they are. I thought you need a really good imagination. It's only when they draw the outline that you can see, oh yeah, you know, they must have been really difficult to see and to work out what they were initially.
It's just that thing, imagination. That was by John Lennon, wasn't it? Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. That's true. The thing is, right, or is it just something that people did? Do you know one thing? What I'm going to say, right, is that you know, things that we don't understand, we always attribute it to sort of witches and things that go bump in the night, right? Going by what Drina said, and this is one thing I've installed in you guys for a long time, is that can't we be thinking about something else? Why have we always got to be obsessed with rituals, ceremony, and witches and things that go bump in the night? Do you know? Look at Andy. He's a bit odd, but he's not a witch. Andy, anything you want to say?
You sure?
Yeah, I'm interested from an art history point of view that the artwork on the walls there is so different from the French ones, like from Lascaux, which are slightly older, but not a lot. Yeah, they're all beautifully coloured and drawn, whereas those are actually carved into the rock, which is and a line drawings as well, which is really different.
And some of the ones in Lascaux are coated with clay, aren't they? And then dried up.
Yeah.
And the point is, Andy, you just made a good point there, right? Where is the stuff in France that dates exactly to the same time as this stuff then?
Don't know.
You just made the point.
So
yeah, Lascaux is just, I think they're
no.
Yeah.
You just made the point. Lascaux is like 30,000 years ago, or whatever. Some of it is a bit more than that. But what I'm getting at, right? That's a good point, Andy. Is there any stuff in France that's actually contemporary with that date, 13,000 years ago? That is a point. Is there anything? That is the point.
The thing I was looking at was about the illustrations on Lascaux was saying that they were 17,000 years old.
Right. I could have got my date wrong. I was thinking about.
I have a feeling in the back of my mind. I remember something about them being redated, like they have been with a lot of things recently, being much older. But, but
if I got that wrong, Andy, I apologise.
No, I don't. My source might be unreliable as well. But the other interesting thing is, which you raised as well, is people. They do that. I think was it Drina that said that they do all the animals beautifully, lifelike shapes and movement, and yet people, they're crap at.
They never do. They hardly ever do people.
No, they don't, do they? For some reason, I don't know why.
No.
Well, actually, most women I've come across who do art, they always say, "Oh, actually, the one thing that I hate doing is drawing human beings."
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know why. It does seem to be harder.
Yeah. This is one of the things. Everyone, people like drawing anything other than human beings.
You think it depends on why they're drawn?
Yeah.
If it's going to be something you need to kill, you're not going to put humans up, are you?
No.
Unless
it's also that catching the spirit
I thought when I think it was in the Sahara, when the caves there where they were finding people swimming.
They were good.
And I thought there were people dancing there, and I thought those were really good.
Yeah.
They were good. The cave of the swimmer, they were good. That was good art. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And they were drawing human beings. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, they were really, really good stuff. You are very good, right? You are very right there. Exactly.
Where was it they did the hands, where they put
that was there as well, but we've also got them in Sanat in the south of Africa. We've also got them in Australia as well. We've got hand art all over the place.
They're lovely.
Yeah, we do, and in India, all sorts of places.
The other thing is the actual gorge itself. I totally agree that the cave's frontage will have collapsed a bit, but it can't have collapsed much because otherwise there wouldn't have been enough gap to let the light in. If you notice, all the ones that have lived in are nearly all south facing to get the light and the sun, but therefore there would have to be a big enough gap to get the light in the gorge to start with.
I can see what you're saying. It's the thing is, there would have been erosion with those caves, but how much erosion,
Yeah.
And somebody's commented on you, Andy, online. They've said, Andy, give your camera a clean, got dust on the lens.
No, I just look like that.
Is there any evidence of fires being made in the entrance to the caves? Can they find?
But the entrance to the caves are gone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. And they would have had the fires at the entrances to keep the animals away, I presume.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to swap that around, right? I'm really going to swap that around because I find it very difficult that you've got cave art in the depths of these caves because it's in the winter months that animals would hibernate, like bears, and the thing is, right? I've seen documentaries of this. If you got two bears hibernating in the cave, right, and you go to kill one, and the other one wakes up, you're all dead. So you're not gonna want to go in the depths of those caves. And if you do go in the depths of those caves, right, and there's this thing sleeping in the corner over there, and you wake it up, you're all dead. So these were very dangerous things, whether you had spears or not. You stab a bear with the wrong in the wrong area of its body, right? It will come at you and it'll kill you all.
Exactly.
So
wasn't just bears, there were lions.
Just think as a metaphor, right? Russia's a bear, right?
Yeah.
If you upset the sleeping Russia, right, it will take over all of Europe. So let's not do it.
Here we go.
Here we go. I've already, I know a bit of Russian, which will save my life. Das Badanya, I'm okay there. And what I'm going to do is dress up in a bear suit. And when I come across Vladimir Putin, I'm going to have a wrestle with him. And, you know, we can slap each other's thighs and we can have a good old man's thing. Right. Anyone want to ask any questions? Pete, Andy?
No.
I'd just like to say that the caves are obviously frost-free during the winter, which is why people were using them as dwellings.
Yeah.
True. And true. And yeah, I agree. Jessica said, I used to cry in art when I had to draw a human. I hated doing it. But then again, I'm not an arty person. I can only cross stitch, and even that is questionable. Right. Thanks for that, Jess. That really helped us all. Anyone want to say anything else? Pat?
No, I'm all right. I did have one question. You know, you said it was a World Heritage Site, and then you said it was something else as well. World Heritage.
Did I say UNESCO?
No.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. Hang on. I will get to my notes. Basically, it's got world. Oh, right. Triple SI. Yeah.
World what?
Yes, a triple SI. It's a place of
Site of special scientific interest.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Site of special scientific interest. Yeah, it's a World Heritage status site, and it's basically it's a triple SI. It means it's science is it's everything there is classed as scientifically protected. So you can't do anything. Actually, the Bendrix, where the dinosaur footprints are in Barry, is actually a triple SI. Except Pete's got half of it under his bed. But that's not the point.
And you said the Paleolithic period, but you said the geologists called it a different period?
Right, yeah. It's the what it is, right? Just quickly, you've got the Pliocene period, which ends 12,000 years ago, and the geological period that we're in is a Hyliocene, right? So basically, Pleistocene, Pleistocene, is a geological period. That's the period of the glaciation. We're in an interglacial period, which is known as the Holocene, Holecene. That's the geological period. So this long glacial period has got a glacial period known as the Pleistocene, and this is an interglacial. So only when the ice is completely melted on the ice caps are we out of the glacial period. This is an interglacial. We're in the middle of this glacial period. And basically humanity, it's the Pleistocene. No, not the Pleistocene. It's the paleo. Oh God, hang on.
Paleolithic.
Paleolithic. Sorry, I got mixed. It's getting late. The Paleolithic period, right? So the human period is the Paleolithic period. The geological period is the Pleistocene. Paleolithic ends 12,000 years ago. Human Pleistocene ends 12,000 years ago. So our period then, after Paleolithic period, when the ice is melting, that's divided into the Mesolithic and the Neolithic and so on. God, I nearly got myself in right trouble. And right, thank you. Anyone got anything else to say before we finish?
Can you clear up the difference between hominins with an INS and a hominid?
Oh my bloody God. Do you know what? We're going to do that next week.
I won't be here. Do it the week after.
All right, we'll do it the week after then, okay?
Yeah.
Hominid, hominin. Yeah, that's that. Yes, basically, we will do that. Yeah, sorry, I'm glad you. Yeah, we will do that specifically in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Hominid and a hominin.
Yeah. Hominins are everything that went before. Oh well.
Genotype. Yeah, next week. Yeah, hominins. Yeah, next 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And finally, before David goes, David, anything you want to say?
Oh, thank you very much.
By the way, I've got that check from you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Night,
Send me
all.
a-
Bye.
Good night.
See you next week, David. Next week. Bye. Right. So if nobody's got anything else to say,
I do. I want to say something.
I'll go on. Go on. Lynn.
Say something. But
We can
probably
all
a bit silly, but I've never heard of these the witch marks before, and they obviously been sort of going on quite a while. And I've tended to think, religion is because people are frightened and don't understand things, or that's how it came into being. And when you say those witch marks, it would appear that people were frightened. There were fears that they were trying to get rid of. In a sense, we've got this huge pandemic at the moment where people are frightened, but we don't seem to need to do things like, oh, what's changed? It's.
Well, I think the difference is the difference is actually we do have fears today.
Yes.
People decided that the vaccine was going to be the answer to everything. It wasn't, but it basically gave people comfort. Having the vaccine meant that people could go out again and so on. But there are lots of people out there, and it's very sad that there's people being on the radio yesterday. They're saying they've been in isolation for 2 whole years, and they will remain being in isolation.
There is that, but what about these marks? We don't seem to need to, or I've never heard of them before, and we don't seem to do things like that now.
Of religion now either, do we either?
No, but that's right. I mean, it's partly we've lost the superstition.
Yeah.
The religion is a great
but
part.
no, the superstition is watching television and looking at alien invasions and looking at zombies and all the rest of it.
Yeah, distractions. Yeah.
I gotta say I've got a heavy duty swimming suit in my cupboard, right? And basically somebody asked, well, why is it that in your cupboard? And I said, well, if there's a zombie outbreak, right, I've got gloves, I've got tape, and I go into that swimsuit, right, and it's an all body suit. So if we do have an attack by zombies, right, I am completely protected.
So that's a rich mark for you.
That's my protection against zombies, yeah.
Yeah.
Or was it David Icke thought that we were being ruled by lizards?
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
There are certain people who the velociraptors, for example, they're reptilian, and they would have dominated the planet. They believe that they are still with us, particularly in Arnside. Have you noticed? Right, there's proof that these exist. Have you noticed that the YHA in Arnside sort of there's some really weird stuff goes on in there. I know that's a private house now, isn't it? I don't know.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
You need to be careful.
Yeah. Why did it become a private house? It's pretty big for just one family, isn't it? Wait.
Because of the lizards.
Exactly. Oh God.
Better put some witch marks around it then.
Yeah.
I think we should. Hey, do you know, I got to tell you a quick story about the YHA, right? I had it was when I was staying in Arnside back in 2012, right? And they basically said, oh well, you're the only person staying here. It was in the depths of winter. Anyway, I had something like swine flu, right? And I didn't know. So that evening I felt really ill and I was in bed, right? They thought I'd left, right? So they locked up the entire building and I remained in bed for 2 days, right? Really, really ill, right? And then 2 days later, I had a knock on the door. It was like, who's in there? And I said, it's me. They said, oh my God, we locked you in the building for 2 days and you obviously hadn't left because your alarm didn't go off. So that did happen. It was really, really strange.
Yeah.
It's a bit sad, really.
That sounds sad for you.
It is sad. It is sad.
Sad.
You know, the old guy that used to run that years ago. It was an ex-regimental sergeant major, and he said that his theory of Arnside was that people come there to retire and die and then forget what they've come for. So that would fit perfectly with that.
Yeah, it did. It fit well. And do you know what? Do you know what the cleaner used to? She said to me, "If I'd have known, I would have looked after you."
Oh, bless.
That's what we do here. You'd never have got away then.
Mind you, Claire would have dragged me into a basement.
That's it.
Yeah, she would have.
All the other bones.
That's right.
How do you think they got
Another
there?
one for the collection.
Yeah.
Exactly. On that note, we'll if there's no other questions, we'll call it a night then, is it?
It's been your pleasure.
I don't know who's left. Well, you're all left. Andy, Margaret, Peter, Anne, Pat, and Gina. So if nobody's got anything else to say, we'll call this a day then, is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Good night.
Yeah, good.
Good night.
Good night,
Anyway,
everybody.
good night.
everybody.
Thanks for joining us. I'll
Good
see you all
night.
next week. Thank you very much. Night, folks.
Bye to Sandra, Pete. Thanks.
Bye. Give my love to Sandra. Night, Margaret, Gina,
Thanks,
and
Carl.
Anne, and Pat, and Pete, and Bill, and Mickey Mouse. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Oh, that was a long one. Anyway, like and subscribe. And I don't know if anyone's got anything else they want to say online. It's just me now. I'm the only one left. Oh God, I am knackered now. Oh my God. Don't have zombie protection suits in the cupboard. Do you know, it's like if suddenly, right, there was like a zombie apocalypse, right? Well, I'll probably be okay for a couple of days in here, actually. All the animals would be eaten and dead. My turkey would be ripped apart. So what animals would I save if it was a zombie apocalypse? I'd save my turkey anyway, because he's like pretty defenseless. And the best thing to do, I don't know, all my animals would be eaten, wouldn't they? Maybe put a couple of sheep in with me, right, to keep them happy. I got Nikki the sheep. You don't want anything happening to her, and Mauer. All right, then I'll have all the sheep with me. Anyway, so I'm just going to quickly read on you. So we'll just, on the chat box today, that was interesting. Josh said you should be on X Factor. We've said that a few times. Josh is probably still watching because he's a god. Yeah. Wrestle with Vladimir Putin. They should be called sigils, not witch marks, used to manifest something to put a ritual spell into a practice. That's for you, Claire. I used to cry out when I had to draw a human. I hated doing it, but then again, I'm not an arty person. I can only cross stitch, and even if that is questionable. Oh God. Anyway, got nothing else to say tonight, so I'm going to call it a day. So beware of invading Poland. All right. Night, folks, and Bélanger, la route along la plaine de Neustoire. Bonjour, maison, maison en fête. Hang on. La route along la plaine de Square. Mon corps résiste encore. Anyway, I can't sing it. It's a bit lost. Anyway, thanks, folks. I'm going to go. Take care. Take care. Take care. Take care. Love you all. Mwah. Love you. Love you all. Ha ha ha.